Greetings and salutations, falafel preparers and connoisseurs. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by... This is not Sing Along with The Rock! The people can't see your hand motions, but I can see.
Every week I do this bit where I do a little hand motion dance in sync with this intro because he's got it down so specifically to such a very specific cadence. Sometimes I will literally mouth along.
I try to shake it up to fuck with your little hand dance, and it never does.
Nope.
You always roll with the punches, and it's
because
very
you
impressive.
have a very specific cadence of speech.
Yes. Anyway, this is the Turner's podcast.
I got what I wanted. I got what I wanted out of that whole bit. I knew someday you'd crack and mention it on the podcast, and I got it.
That's been at least a year's commitment, so
yes.
Kudos to you. I'm Eric J. Chucky, this is The Boy.
Hey.
Today we're talking about Dungeons & Dragons races that we did not have enough shit to say about for a full podcast, or even a podcast with a couple of them. We're just going to rapid fire through them like we did the last time we did this, which you can go see, because YouTube preserves all of our content, even though they don't pay us.
Yep. Nice of them, really.
If you would like to pay us...
We make them no money.
I make them some money, but nothing. There's about a dozen of you that watch regularly. That equates to 60 cents a video, I think.
Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to the platform, it would be really annoying to try to host this myself. Anyhow, if you do like to give us some money, I've got a Patreon in the description. You just want to give us $1, that's fine. It's just $1 a month. Just $1.
It's 25 cents a podcast.
As though we were a homeless person you passed every Tuesday morning. And we shook our little cup and we're like, hey, man, I've been having some trouble lately, Oh, God bless you, God bless you. You
can use that audio clip every time the Patreon receipt comes by. Just go play it.
If I streamed on Twitch...
that would be the sub noise.
No, not the sub noise, the bit donation. Just a little animated homeless guy would pop up and be like, oh, thank you, God bless you, God bless you. Oh... This is 2 minutes we've killed already. Okay, well, Dungeons & Dragons. My book's also for sale. I'm working on a new one. Now's a great time to catch up. If you get through the first, it'll be cookies from there because the rest are better. Merfolk!
That's where we left off, because we covered Loxodon in a larger podcast.
Yes, we did.
So we skipped right past them. But I have actually played a Merfolk in a game with a few sessions in it.
7.
And I quite like the race. They're nothing amazing, but it's always nice to have new options for an int race. And the Ixalan Merfolk are a +2 int race. And that's honestly why I used them. Because I wanted a +2 int race, and they weren't the standard.
Did you use the Blue Ixalan, or did you use the Zendikar Ula Creed?
I think I used the Zendikar Ula Creed Merfolk. There's a lot of different kinds of Merfolk.
They're all based around the Magic the Gathering Merfolks, and fuck if I know Magic the Gathering lore. I played...
Yeah, it's all just different stats for Merfolk for me.
I played a Kosi Creed Zendikar Merfolk at some point. He was a druid, but he was the party bard. He was the one who hit on a dragon and made sweet, sweet love to a night hag.
I remains to be seen.
Quantum was.
Quantum was a Blade Singer wizard. Yes, I know it's supposed to only be elves. Shut up.
I don't care. Does anyone actually, in the comments, kids, ladies and gentlemen, fully grown adults, Marty Jannetty, don't kill me, just write in the comments. What do you care about, the Dwarven racial restriction for the Battle Rager or whatever? Do you care about the Elvish? Do you actually think, mechanically that fucking matters? Or are you like Adventurers League and you can only play what the book tells you? If so, get help.
Rip. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
But I was Bard the hard way. I was a 2nd edition Bard. I went out of my way to get as many skill proficiencies as possible. I was, in every way except spell list, a Bard. Because Bard has a garbage spell list, and I had better cantrips.
I love 5th edition for that reason. It is the Dark Souls of tabletop role-playing games. And I mean that literally and not just in that it's very hard, because it's not. It doesn't explain things to you very well. There is so much you can do under the hood, and it does have its flaws, but the combinations are so amazing. Because you did just build your standard edition bard out of other pieces. And it's a little different, obviously. It has to be. You don't get bardic inspiration or...
But I was really good at singing, and I had a great performance check, and a bunch of skill proficiencies, and a sword that I used when I wasn't using my spells, and instead of the bard spell list, which is very supporty, to not have a meme. It is good, it's just not what I wanted to do with the character. I got to have wizard cool damage spells and utility spells, which is way better. And I got to act like a bard. She was great. Her name was Cora, and I got to have sex with a Geralt XP. Geralt? It's a soft G. I always forget because I call him Gerald from Richworld.
I think it's Geralt. I think it's very, very soft.
Okay, yeah. And then his romanceable option, Jennifer.
And his good friend, Huskier.
That guy would be way better as Huskier. Imagine the character changes that would be necessary for that to make sense. But yeah, it was great.
So merfolk are fish people. I made up a whole lore around them. Like this.
Yeah, it was really cool. We actually did a lot of work together to make up lore for like how their society functions and what a society that is under the water where there isn't fire and thus isn't manufactured goods until magic is a thing. What it would look like, and I actually really liked it, and I'd probably keep it if I used merfolk. I certainly wouldn't have them be fishtails. Like, to me, merfolk is scaly people.
Yeah, merfolk
Mine had tentacle hair.
Are fishos, but not like a mermaid.
No.
Like, that's a different
thing.
thing.
A mermaid is a different thing.
Yeah.
Merfolk are fish people. Mine happened to have tentacle hair because I used some very famous Magic the Gathering character as an image for what the character looked like. I don't remember her name.
Rule 63, Davy Jones.
Yeah, that one.
Let's move on to the Minotaur. There's a couple varieties of Minotaur we have available as well. I played a Minotaur very briefly, the Amonkhet kind, I believe, because he was a sheep or a goat or something.
Yeah, he was a ram.
But usually they're bullmen or women. They basically come in two different varieties. One is really good near the Kryn Minotaur. They're good with boating and shit like that. Or no, they do Sea Reaver. There we go. And the other ones, they do a lot of I am very big and I will gore you. I think I'd like to play a Minotaur, honestly.
They're your standard big people race.
Yeah, it's been so long since I played a big people. Like, I've been doing support for...
A while.
With a brief foray into...
Damage.
Yeah, into my sniper. Everybody else I've been playing has been very heavy support.
For a couple of years now, yeah. Especially in DnD.
It's
just what you're vibing with.
Well, it allows me to accomplish, it allows me to be a part of the party and be a character and help without, like, trying to outshine somebody else.
I like Minotaur as an idea. There are indeed some characters I would play as a Minotaur that I would not play as a Loxodon first. But I'm going to be honest, Loxodon has eaten a lot of their real estate.
I think they're a better class overall. I think they're stronger.
But one of them's a cool elephant person.
That's what I'm talking about. The Loxodon are stronger.
Oh, yeah, well, they're stronger, but that's not why.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, they're okay. They're about as good as a half-orc.
Yeah, they're fine. It's a perfectly serviceable big people race. There's just a lot of those, and there are a couple different ones that I would use Minotaur for. Giant Blooded Sorcerer would be a Minotaur before a Loxodon. I'd probably play a Minotaur Barbarian first before a Loxodon. But otherwise, Loxodon and the other big people races have just eaten their real estate, personally, for me.
Okay. I think, I don't think Loxodon are that cool. Like, for me, it's Lizard Folk. And even then, the last Lizard Folk I played was a Reedy Boy.
Yeah.
So, Onto an interesting race that I remember from very early in.
Yeah, this is
Fifth
one of the
edition.
first Unearthed Arcanas for the whole edition, I think.
Or at least an early one, anyhow. The Revenant, which isn't a race into itself. It's like a variant, like say High Elf or Dark Elf or whatever. You would use that instead, and it gives you different racial adjustments and some undead features. It's a sub race. It's neat. It basically gives you that hit of I'm a zombie me.
Yeah, it's if you want to play the crow, but you don't want it to be your whole character.
Sure. I think that's pretty cool. I think they've got some good effects.
I think it would stack. I would be interested to like really go through the actual effects of the Revenant and then like the revived rogue and see what is like useless overlap, because I think they would pair really well together unless there's a lot of useless overlap, which there very well might be.
Not really. Other than when your goal is complete, you finally find rest. I mean, but that's a story thing more than anything.
Yep.
In the latest expansion, what the fuck is it called?
Just hover over that.
Do I just hover over? Oh, the Mythic Odysseys of Theros. I never remember what the fuck
Jim Jam Jabango. Who gives a shit?
Our audience clearly cares. They're avid purchasers of Dungeons and Dragons products, and they don't just look up everything on fucking 5e tools, where it's free, and you can even donate your support to the people running it. It's optional.
Which is an extra layer of fuck you to Wizards of the Coast, now that I think about it. Anyway.
Satyr is new. They're one of the Fae-type races. They're basically tiny Minotaur. And instead of intimidation skills, they have, like, having a good time skills.
Yeah, it's Mr. Tumnus.
Yeah.
You want to play Mr. Tumnus? Does that sound good? Here you go. A Satyr Bard might be fun.
Sure.
Straight up grab a pan flute, let's get going.
Yeah, I feel like that's what you'd go to. An archer would be fine, like a ranger or some sort of the arcane archer for fighter.
Ooh, arcane archer would be fun.
Yeah.
That might be a good time. Like ad extremis, a sorcerer, but bard. Like that's something I would actually want to play as a bard.
You know what though?
Very supporty.
Satyr Barbarian, I think that could be fun too, because he gets 2 into his cups, and that's when the rage descends.
Ooh, Satyr Drunken Master Monk.
Hey, yeah, there you go. There's a lot of ideas coming out of this one. Maybe we could have done a full podcast on this guy.
No.
Too fucking late now.
Also, no, we could not have.
I don't think we ever got around to the shifter, did we?
I genuinely don't remember.
I don't care to look it up because it'll take me a while to get there. There are several different versions of the shifter. They're a very prominent race in Eberron. I know we did an Eberron one, but I want to say that was Changelings and Warforged. Shifters, I'm on the line of liking them.
I think they're a very useful race for certain character types.
Yeah, I think it's really good to create a humanoid, a very human humanoid, who is a little othered, who is a little outside of the...
Like your 2000s and beyond tier werewolf.
Or Wolverine. I mean, that's the joke
basically,
goes for.
It's Wolverine. You're playing Wolverine or Sabretooth or any of Wolverine's kids.
Or any variety of character like that who's like a little bit of an outsider. I mean, you could play a Witcher as a shifter, and it would kind of
And
fit.
then, like, the shift is, like, when he drinks the potion and gets the black eyes.
Yeah.
And actually, that's kind of a good usage of that.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Like a shifter ranger.
Sure, yeah.
There you go. You want to play Jerry of Rich Boy or whatever his name
Jerry
is?
the Rich Boy. After he's done all his witching, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a couple different kinds of shifters. Basically, it depends on what kind of animals tile you're inspired by.
I played one as basically a version of a much handsomer version of Fenris from Dragon Age 2, where the shift was his lyrium tattoos.
You were also like you had some traits of an animal though too.
Yeah.
I tried really hard to make up decent lore for them that wasn't just, I guess a werewolf had sex with one of your parents somewhere back in the lineage.
Who knows?
That shit is confusing to me about D&D, and they started trying to clean it up in 5th edition, but I've been around for so long that I get the old person adjusts glasses at the end of his nose. Now, what is this again? I'm sorry?
To me, that's like it's not even like a half elf thing. It's just these people are kind of bestial, and they have like game face. They can go aggro.
And that's basically the way I ended up doing it. Is I kind of
I know if I made that character again, I'd probably make a barbarian. Now that I can play barbarians that aren't bear totem barbarians.
Now that the curse has been passed on.
Yes.
Well, let's continue into Simic Hybrid, which is more Magic the Gathering nonsense, but I think it's cool. I, for one session, played a character who was a Simic Hybrid. Basically, they were...
what the fuck is this?
They were experimented on. Monday is who was the Simic Hybrid. They were experimented on by, like, wizards and given augmentations.
Oh, so more Fenris. Like the actual way you would do that.
I guess kind of. More, but they're, like, more mutatey. Like,
so, like, the mighty mutanimals?
No. Like, more so. They're like Abe Sapien, I guess, except like not a fictional, like a legendary monster, like you made me this way kind of thing. I'm drawing a blank as to...
No, that's a pretty common trope.
Yeah,
someone who is experimented on by mad scientists and then hashtag I didn't ask for this puts on sunglasses.
I mean, you don't actually have to be that way, but you get a lot of specifically like aquatic or amphibious benefits that you can choose from. They have a carapace here option, acidy spit, and that's always good. We have a cat who is in the lady times.
She might come and sing you the song of her people.
She may.
That's something you're going to have to live with, because we do.
Yeah, it's what we have to live with. But I thought they were pretty neat. I don't know fuck about the lore and magic.
Just Lord knows I don't either. This would be a race that I wouldn't use in a setting. Being completely honest.
It's kind of like
they would never be a race.
Right. It's like Aasimar. This is you are the chosen?
One of a few.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree with that entirely.
Moving right along.
Moving right along to the Siren, which is basically a merfolk with a different set of shit. They
can fly?
Oh no, that's right. Their sirens are the flying sirens. Do you have a picture?
No.
We don't. Well, you don't get to see it either way. Google it. Yeah. Neat. So, do they got fish leggies? No, I don't think so. Yeah, they don't have a swim speed. Okay, so I think these are more like harpies.
They don't even have wings.
Yeah, I think they do.
Doesn't mention it, and it definitely would.
Yeah.
Oh, they've just got wings and arms.
Yeah, they got...
Okay, those are harpies.
Yeah, I mean, kinda, yeah. That's not what I would have called a siren, but live your life.
No, that's not what a siren is. Those are harpies.
Yeah, there's some negotiable stuff.
That's fair.
I've seen it that way. Have we ever actually sat and talked about Tabaxi?
We've done a couple Elder Scrolls podcasts, yeah. The joke is that they're Khajiit.
I got a podcast with this man. Once a week I sit down and a podcast with this man.
Listen.
This is how he treats me.
Our Tabaxi is here singing people the song of her people, so we gotta live with what we live with.
Yeah,
right?
I guess so.
There's not a podcast here. I think we haven't, or if we have, I don't remember it, because there's nothing to say. They're just Khajiit. I do a little bit of work to... I take out some of the very specific stuff about Khajiit that I'm not a huge fan of. But I just use Tabaxi as a stand-in for Khajiit because it's just such a good, ready-made culture for cat people that why fuck with it? Why fix what ain't broken? It's not quite dwarf is dwarf tier for me. Why would I bother to give Tabaxi another culture when this one works so well and is cool?
I wish we had more variants. We kind of talked about this with the Leonin.
Yeah, with the lion people. I think that's what we're remembering.
I wish there were more variants of cat people. Because, okay, it's nice. You know, Tabaxi came out in Volo's Guide, which was...
Ages ago.
Yeah, ages ago. And now we have a second kind of cat person.
And I think I said this about the Leon, and for me, in the universe, they would be one race.
I would still like multiple options, because cats aren't just fast. Like, to me, this feels like they're leaning a bit on, I don't know, not quite a joke, but just a weird little aspect of catdom for the core trait for Tabaxi, which is their feline agility that allows them to move double their speed until the end of the turn, and then they can't move.
Zoomies.
Yeah, like, that's cute and everything, but...
I would like... for me, Tabaxi or in-universe Tabaxi, all cat people are going to be Tabaxi or whatever placeholder, because I very rarely actually just call them Khajiit.
Sure.
Whatever name I use for them. That would be all cat people, but much like it's nice to have like 4 different stat blocks for orcs, so you can use whichever one you want, so that orcs can be a very varied people, even though they're all under the same umbrella of greenskins, as it were. That would be nice. Like, a couple more stat blocks for cat people wouldn't go... I wouldn't say no to it, but at the same time, how many more full races of shit can you really wring out of cat?
I'd say like 2 now that we have 2. I think a 4 total is fine.
Really? You think you get 4 cat races that are distinct enough to merit another race?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Even if you go so banal as to have a normal cat people that aren't super fast and do the zoomies, like hunters as opposed to speedy boys, and then like
maybe
a
like
snow
a
cat
pounce
people.
Treat?
Sure,
a pounce
sure.
trait?
Some sort of pouncing, yeah.
I would be more inclined to make those sub-races, personally.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm frustrated that we're only now getting Leonin when, you know, we got 4 different kinds of elves, and yeah, they're the traditional 4 different kinds of elves that you get.
You know what? That's a really good point. Here I am fetching about how much races can you really get out of cat when there's 400 fucking elves. That's on me. You're entirely correct.
I'm gonna go scroll back up here to humans for a second and just look at all that. Look, why?
Yeah, you know what? That was just silly of me. Or not the next race, Lord.
Well, we've already covered the tieflings, so.
But thinking about the variety, there's 9 different kinds of tiefling. For a decent reason, which of the various Lords of Hell are you a fan of?
And I like that. I like that that's the way that works. I think that's very interesting, actually.
So it provides a really nice set of variety in tiefling, which I like because when I was first introduced to the race was a previous edition, and they were a much more varied race, whereas in 4th edition they became the fire guy.
Yeah, the fire Klingon.
This brings a lot more of that variance back, and I really like that.
Yeah. The next race, actually, is another race you really like, the Tritons.
I love fucking Tritons. I love Tritons. I'm
going to let you take this whole thing, my guy.
They're dickhead water elves. Like, that's their actual lore. They're arrogant, reclusive shitters who spend all their time fighting great threats beneath the ocean, and thus have a deeply paternalistic fucking, oh, look at them, they're cute, they think they're civilized view of all surface races because they couldn't possibly understand the burden, the blue man's burden of being the Triton. I love them, they're shitheads. I love this race. I absolutely will be using this race in the future because they embody, because Elf has been watered down over the course of many, many years of people wanting to be Legolas. That you don't get to have them be the aloof, distant shitbags they should be. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against that watering down. I also want to be Legolas. I like that there is a race that I can use, and they're in the water, they're far away, it's fine. They're not getting in the way of the rest of my setting. I can have a Triton show up and be an absolute tool, and then go away.
And that's Tritons.
Just a very useful race as a DM, and to play for a campaign you're not going to stick around for long.
I mean, like, I think that's good. You know, we've been enjoying a lot of soft inter-party conflict in our last couple of campaigns. I think that's fun. I think a small amount of that is healthy.
Bance level.
Yeah, Bance, yeah. The next listed race are vampires. Now, these are Magic the Gathering vampires. They're nowhere near as strong as the ones you'd find in the Monster Manual, but it's a really great way to get the chance to play.
Thus, they are thus playable, essentially.
Yeah, they can go out in the daytimes also.
Which, speaking as someone who has helped design a game where the vampires cannot go out in the day, and it's a role-playing game, you do kind of got to play around that.
Yeah,
so
it does pose a lot of challenges. So, yeah, I think they're nice. I might play one. I'm not like specifically,
I can't think of a D&D character I'd want to play as a vampire.
As much as I still retain a lot of my teenage gothness and aesthetic and stuff, I haven't lent toward Eggy Boys in character much.
Me neither. And, I used to be... it was a snarky egg, but it was egg as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not. I just like playing big men with mighty thews now. It's...
I like playing weird, aloof friends. As my eternal goal to become Jeff Goldblum someday, I'm practicing in D&D.
There you go. Maybe I should get mighty thews in real life. That would take a lot of effort.
Moving on to another blue elf stand-in. Another Magic the Gathering race, the Vidulkin.
I don't know what the fuck these are.
They're blue elves who are partially amphibious.
What are these, Magic the Gathering Tritons?
Not even. Well,
yes, they are. Holy shit, they're Magic the Gathering Tritons.
Yeah, they're from the blue deck. They do Magitech.
They don't got noses, so they're Magic the Gathering Krillin.
Sometimes they do. Depends on who's doing the art, I guess.
Yeah, okay, fine. Blue Man Group gives it +1.
Sure. How many magic blue elf races can you make? Two at least.
Yeah, they're partially amphibious, not fully.
Partially. The Verdant are...
They better be fucking green. Okay.
Yeah.
They're greenskins. Literally.
Yeah, they're made of like grass and shit. They're an old D&D race that Penny Arcade brought back in their Acquisitions Incorporated book. It was like in a Monster Manual or somewhere, or some fucking splat book back in 2nd edition, and they were like, no, let's bring these guys back. So here they are. They have limited telepathy. They do a little bit of healing boosts when their hit dice.
Limited telepathy? I'm just reading because I literally don't know the hell these are. So they're just a people who have no culture or history. They just exist.
Yeah, they were made out of goblins, I think. Out of chaos, the power of that which endures, blah, 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 blah. They're green for some reason, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes they mutate, and they just sort of accept
cultural chameleons. They just sort of fold in to whatever culture they're a part of. So they're green half-elves.
Oh, yeah, that's a way to put it. In that case, let's move swiftly along to the Vioshino. Joking aside, I think the Verdant are interesting. I've never really used them much.
I don't know what I would use them for.
I think they're a fine player race.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess if you really wanted to play Piccolo, but
didn't want to use
a Gith?
The Gith, yeah, and just be like, may I be green, please?
Yeah.
The Vioshino, I always forget, are, first of all, if you want to be a reptile person who is neither a dragonborn or a lizard folk beef house, there are the faster, more dexterous Vioshino. Vioshino are also dinosaur people.
I can play a velociraptor in a top hat?
I mean, you very well could. Let me, again, if you want to Google along with us, listener.
I can play a velociraptor in a top hat. Oh my god. He's showing me images. Yes.
Yeah, they're really fucking cool.
Take my up arrow. Take my orange arrow. I'm upvoted. This is great.
Yeah, this is spectacular.
This is dinosaur. They're dinosaur people.
Yeah, like not in the crummy way that you would assume when you hear dinosaur people. Like they look like their own thing, but they are reptilian, clearly more inspired by how dinosaurs are built than lizards or dragons. Again...
And to be fair, lizard folk are... They're, like, I would say if Vioshino is one end of the scale and Dragonborn is the other, lizard folk are what's in the middle.
Yeah. Much like the cat people, I don't know why we didn't have more subraces of reptile people earlier.
You know what? Honestly, this... I like this. I like having this and Dragonborn and lizard folk because it would allow me to use 3 different kinds of them in different parts of a world with different cultures and then tie them in that they maybe had a similar origin and then split up.
Sure. I would be cool with more dinosaur people. Obviously, this is great for...
Yeah, give me Brontosaurus. Like, let's go full Savage Lands. Give me Brontosaurus people and Triceratops people.
Hell yeah. Well, actually, there's only one more race we need to cover, and that's the Yuan-Ti Pureblood.
Voldemort.
Yeah, literally. If y'all look them up, they just kind of look like old Voldy. They're not the Yuan-Ti I'd want to play, which is Snake-O-Mans, but...
yeah, that's an option.
I mean, yeah, just gotta talk to your DM, I guess.
Yeah.
They have some magic resisting. Actually, I think they're a really solid race. They get a lot of good shit.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I would just take this. If I wanted to play a Yuan-Ti, I'd just take the stat block and go, can I be a cool lizard guy instead of Voldemort?
Yeah, can I be a Serpentsman? Can I be from the Dark Souls? May I wrap my head
can
in
I
the
can I be no? You're not allowed to be a foreskin snake. You can be a Sen's Fortress snake, that's fine.
Okay. But
I do not like the Archdragon Peak things.
Take the new Poison Feet. So that your
poison spray cantrip matters.
And your other shit. Like, it's good. I think these guys are cool. I would love to play one. Just, like, looking better, not looking like fucking...
Well, it's a boring look. It's a boring look when there's much cooler versions of the same race right there.
Agreed. Well, that covers us for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition races until a new book comes out. And we will always continue to cover new stuff when new supplements and new books and such come out. But this will allow us to do it more focused. You know, we had so much catching up to do, and God, what all can you say about...
Some of these races, there's just not... I personally, I'm sure someone could talk about, you know, Minotaurs for hours. I personally don't have enough gas in the tank.
Well, you know, and let me put it this way to both you and to the listener. 2 months ago, 3 months ago, would you have had shit to say about the Merfolk?
No.
So, you know, if you're making a world, what I do, and we're going to get into this a little deeper when we go to our next version of the D&D podcast. What I do when I make a world now is I sit down with my players, I find out what they want to play, or I will make the world myself. You know, I experimented with limiting races, and I think it went okay. But I think in the future I would sit down with my players and be like, all right, who do you want to be? And then, as you have done before, craft that world out of what the player wants to be. You want to be a Minotaur? All right, let's build a culture for Minotaurs. Let's make them interesting. Let's make them fit in with the world. And
that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I've done it in a less focused, more diffuse way. And in my most recent campaign, I very much turned into that skid. And the races that exist in that part of the setting are the races everyone wanted to play.
With one notable exception.
One notable exception.
So yeah. Yeah. That's about it for D&D 5th edition races. Thank you guys for coming with us on this journey.
Feels a little weird to be done with them because there's so many. But...
Yeah, well, we still have another class to cover in full. That's the Artificer.
And then there's we could make another podcast about deciding which version of Artificer to cover. But in any case, I think we're done here.
I think we are, until the next time we meet, where we will talk about movies again.
Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it.